Hey everyone, winter is coming here. Today I want to talk about A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Within the first 10 pages, George somehow established the danger the world has to face externally and internally. Beyond the mysterious wall some of which God has to establish with a young man from a family who don't know enough about how to survive outside of the wall, but is someone with too much authority to be denied his will. They meet an icy white figure, and the only survivor was a person who climbed a tree to look around the area before the figure came out. His survival is short-lived since one of the dead party members woke up to kill him. That is how the story starts, how the world building starts. Then we met with the figure that shaped the worlds, the families of the Seven Kingdoms and its members. The Stark family, their winter is coming motto. They had Ned, their children, and their dire wolf, Bran the youth, and Jon Snow the bastard of the family. The Targaryens, the family who used to rule the Seven Kingdoms. The older brother Viserys, who is too busy with his delusion and the people that influence him for their own benefit. Then Daenerys, the younger who are being sold by her older brother for his ambition despite only wanting to go home. The home that is not big enough for her older brother. The Baratheons, the current ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, Robert who slayed the Mad King and now sat on the Iron Throne, friends of Ned Stark and now his king. The Lannister, the twins and the dwarf Tyrion. I think most people who like Game of Thrones is definitely a fan of Tyrion. He's a flawed character and he was born with dwarfism in a world where dead like to play around. He's very aware of this, and since he can protect himself through external factors like physics, he choose to hold himself internally. I have a realistic grasp of my own strength and weaknesses. My mind is my weapon. My brother has his sword, King Robert has his warhammer, and I have my mind. Mine needs books as a sword needs a whetstone, if it is to keep its edge. Tyrion tapped the leather cover of the book. That's why I read so much Jon Snow. There are a few more families like the Tullys and the Greyjoys, but these are the main characters of the Game of Thrones. We'll follow the story through a change of character perspective, and usually in a story with multiple perspectives, it can get boring in some of them, for example, Bran. But all of the story presented by each characters are very well written and very connected with each other. We follow each of them as they become their own person and their own story. Starting from when Robert Baratheon the King arriving on Winterfell to recruit Eddard Stark become his hand, and meanwhile, Daenerys having to get married to Khal Drogo on the other side of the continent. Those two events will trigger the event of the Saga of Ice and Fire. This is easily the best political fantasy ever, and definitely one of the best fantasy. The writing is so tight, the world building is so good. Every word seems to add to the world or to the characters. It really feels like the world is its own world with rich history, and we are witnessing a historical moment of it. Every detail in the story matters, even traveling have a significant impact on the story. How the character travels, with how many people, using what, how's the terrain, the weather and everything. The only thing that travels fast are rumors, which seems to spread faster than the people who voice them. And even with that level of world building, what makes the stories, of course, the characters, and the writing is also impeccable there. Each characters are people we encounter in our life, albeit on a different circumstances in life. Dany Targaryen is a girl who dreams of home after losing the place she belongs. Jon Snow is a boy father with a different mother and always out of place since he's a bastard. Tyrion should be a prodigy hailed from an outstanding family background, but born with a physical condition that makes him less than his peers. He's always mocked, and he found that to belong he needs to sharpen his mind. Sansa is a smart girl, but very naive and very young, inexperienced, and a really bad judge of characters. Each of every characters in the book, the wisest, the oldest, the youngest, the greediest, the most powerful, all have their own motivation and insecurities. And in the harsh world of the Seven Kingdoms, there are no place safe for them, as established by this book. These are the people and the world that we'll explore in an epic journey that starts with this book. I highly recommend you reading even after you've watched the movies or the series. That's about it.